It's going down, going down. It's going down on the Tiddy powwow. It's going down, it's going down. It's going down on the Tiddy powwow. It's going down, it's going down, it's going down on the Tiddy powwow.
So we're back. Episode 2 of the Tiddy Powwow. It's your girl, Bernica Joan, and I'm here with Kimberly Quisha Denise.
She just almost called me my mother's name.
Oh my God, I should have said
What's
that
up,
one.
Bernica Joan?
Hey.
What you going through?
For real. Girl, you done gave me a little sangria and it just done, went straight to the head. It's funny. Okay, so
what's up, everybody?
Okay, hi everybody. So this is the Tiddy Powwow, and stuff like that is gonna happen because
we goofy.
We are. But the Tiddy Powwow, of course, is for us to discuss issues that affect women and that we go through as women, as mothers. And so I guess today's topic is very important, as it relates to being a mother and a lot of the issues that, we deal with.
Right. So today our episode is called Mama Get Your Mind Right, because we want to talk about issues that relate to mothers and the way we manage things as parents in our decision making and making sure that we make the best choices for our kids.
Yeah.
And so the premise of this show today is like basically you can't be who you were before you had kids after you have kids. And that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of people.
It really is, because when you're used to operating in a certain manner, you don't change overnight.
Exactly.
So, you can become a mother, it just takes an adjustment, and you have to just make different decisions.
Yeah. And those decisions aren't always easy, and they're not always comfortable.
And it's not always fun.
Mm-hmm.
When you have to make, stand up and make a smarter decision based off whatever it is that you want to do. And, you want to do what's fun or what's enjoyable at the moment.
Yeah, it's not always fun to even not be able to just think about yourself anymore.
Exactly. And that's what it is. Just not putting yourself first. That selfishness, you have to turn that all the way around and definitely put your kids first. And this is with this, just changing your mindset too, being more of a mother, changing your mindset. And so I feel like it's the conversation that needs to be had, amongst our culture, because when you're used to operating in a certain manner, it can become generational, and you operate the way that you felt like, your parents operated, and it was not always the most positive and most healthy way. And so it's just kind of recognizing those, awareness to certain things that have become a norm for us in our culture that isn't necessarily healthy for us or for our children if we're trying to raise healthy children in this world.
And raise them into being responsible and just adults that make good decisions.
Correct.
We have to watch the things that we do in front of them.
Yes, because our children emulate us. They see everything that's going on. They see, they feed off of our emotions. They see how we portray ourselves when at home, how we portray ourselves online or out. And they're picking up on those things, because what we have to realize is that these are little people. A lot of the times people think, oh, they kids, they don't know what they're talking about. I'll go in the other room. But they have the same senses that we have.
Right.
So they're being molded by the decisions that we're making and the way that we're maneuvering. They're being molded, and they're picking up on everything, the good, bad, and the ugly. So it's just bringing awareness to something that we may subconsciously do and not realize. And, if we pick up on that, it can definitely, you can make a change.
Right.
You're never too old to change, or you can always recognize a behavior that may not be good for you and decide that you want to change that around. It's never too late to.
Right. And I think recognizing the way our decisions and our choices and the way we move affect our kids, social and emotional and intellectual development, the bonds that they form or not, and just the skills that they gain to cope with certain things in life. They're constantly learning those things from us who are their primary examples. And they will have those other examples out in the world, but you know, we are top priority when it comes to what they're looking at and paying attention to.
Yes, because we have our interaction with them is on a daily basis. They go to school with kids 5 days out of the week, which is a lot of influence, but we're the ones that they see when they wake up and, throughout the day and go to sleep with at night. And so everything that we do, they're a part of that, regardless of if we, recognize that they are picking up on these things.
Yeah, and with this subject, we're not here to really judge in any type of a way, because I know as a parent and as a mother, I am still learning what to do and what not to do, even with 3 kids. And so um, it's not a topic to bash anyone or anything like that. It's really for us to grow so that we can make sure that our children are getting what and that we're being the examples that we should be.
Yeah, but even what you just said, like it's for us to grow. And I seen a post this week, and it was like she posted. It said, "I'm not a grown woman. I'm a growing woman." So
Exactly.
as a mother, you never stop learning. You never stop. There's things that you're gonna learn with your second or third child that you didn't know with your first child. So it's all just a part of growth, evolving, and it kind of just it's just always a growing. You never, even at 60, 70 years old, you're always going to learn more about yourself and about your children. And if it's a positive way to make it better, then why not switch that around? If you know that maybe a certain behavior, a trait that you had wasn't positive towards your child, or that it didn't help them feel their best, then you need to kind of switch that around. It's never too late to switch
Yeah.
it around. Because at the end of the day, it's all love. This conversation is out of love, and the topics we're discussing or the certain points we're making is come from either, us, our experience, or a conversation that we've had with someone of something that maybe they've gone through, or just, something we've had to learn along the way.
Just for me, the things that I see even in working with other people's children as a therapist. So, I'm seeing the different characteristics that come out of those kids who are not raised in like healthy situations or with healthy parents. Um, so, but let's dive on into it. Like, what are some things that you feel like, that you notice, behaviors of women are different things that are.
I feel like it ties back to even the first episode that had everything to do with, getting that, like, learning to know who you are, and self love, and all of that, because
Right.
it's all a process. Like, our children are with us as we are on this journey, growing into who we're supposed to be, because a lot of us have or have had children at a young age. So our kids have grown up with us, and you have to realize, like I said before, that they're seeing that's what's going on. So I feel like with that, everything that we feel, everything they see, it's going to be on them. So just changing, creating healthy habits,
Mm-hmm.
creating healthy habits, switching things up. I know one thing that when I was going through a lot, going to the gym was good for me. So having a Y membership and being my kids being able to be a part of that, it was all healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So that a lot of my therapeutic, ways, getting in the sauna, working out, the classes, all of that was good for not only my physical but my mental. But it also was good for my kids because they're getting exercise, they're being able to interact with other kids, and
Mm-hmm.
just switch it
Just
up.
including them
Exactly.
in what you have going on.
Exactly. And I think that's the thing, like being a little bit more aware of what we are spending our time doing with our kids. Like, are we letting the TV and,
Mm-hmm.
other tablets and stuff be, our babysitters, or are we actually getting out doing things with our
Right.
kids?
I would say that one of the things that I notice about just myself as a mother and even a lot of mothers around me is that we're extremely distracted.
Exactly.
We distracted by social media. We distracted by different relationships. work, or just a multitude of things that take away from my children in certain ways. And even with myself, one of the things that I had to do is cut back on work because I was putting work before everything and everybody, including my kids, at one point in time. Just working way too much. Um, and a part of it might have been just me coping with things that was going on in my life at the time. And I was just, using work as pretty much just pouring into other people to avoid my own issues. But I found myself being at work late most nights, and it took for my own sister to bring it to my attention, and we had a little falling out about that because I didn't want to hear that, but I had to sit back and think about how it was impacting my family.
Yeah. Yeah. And even with you saying that, I realized when I worked my last job, working so many hours, working nights, weekends, how quick my oldest son grew up, like right before my eyes. And I'm like, wow, like all those years that I was working, so hard, for
Mm-hmm.
somebody else. It was just like those years just flew by and I missed so many important times, because he was so little. And those years were very valuable years, and I just working, thinking that working is the best thing. I got to provide, I got to make money, when at the end of the day, when you grow, you'll realize that things will eventually work out the way it's supposed to. And you can, as long as you have faith, and it'll work itself
I
out.
think that sometimes we believe that because we are working to provide for our children, that we are being good mothers, and that is a part of being a good mother, which is working, making money, making sure your kids have food,
Providing.
shelter, clothing. But there's also that emotional support and other things that we have to pay attention to, that sometimes we allow these distractions in our life to take away from us paying attention to real issues with our kids.
Exactly. It made me think about that point that I was on watching a certain Ayana on Fix My Life, her show. And there was a
Love that
point, I
show.
love that show so much because she really does like go into people's lives, and a lot of the times there are similar situations, that you can relate to, or there's
Mm-hmm.
a point that you can bring out of it, and it just really sparks something in your mind. And one of those points was, this certain episode didn't even have anything to do with this subject, but it was brought up, and it was just like a light bulb went off. And it kind of went along with what you said, like you could provide for your kids. And she was giving the example because the girl on the show was like, don't challenge my motherhood. I'm a good mother and all of that. She had like 5 kids, but she was trying to fight her sister, and it was just a whole fiasco, the whole situation, with her family dynamics. But she was saying, and Ayana was like, well, I'm not saying you. She's like, no, you're a bad mom. And she's like, I'm not a bad mom. She's like, no, you are a bad mom. She's like, you might, cook for them, provide for them, clothe them, feed them, wash them, bathe them. She was like, but you're a bad mom because you're behaving badly as a woman,
In
and
front of
that
them.
in front of them, and in turn that is going to affect them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like a switch went off. She was like, you mother well, but you're a bad mom. Like there's a difference in that. And it was so right. I'm like, because people, it's especially our generation, we're in a time where everything, because of social media, everything is heightened, everything is escalated. And I feel like the what it means to have a child, people don't take the responsibility so serious that it really is. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just having a child. You are raising children. You are raising human beings. Like you said, the emotional support. It's not about dressing them up, making them look cute, taking a picture, gender reveals, birthday parties, all of that. That's all, yeah, a part of it. But the main focus is the people who are the people that you're raising in this world.
What type of people
What
are
type
you
of people are
raising?
you raising in this world? What type of, these are little humans. They see everything, and
Mm-hmm.
they grow up to be grown people, and what you put into them is who they become.
Right. And then you talking about on that episode that she's trying to fight her sister and stuff. Like you can't be pulling up on nobody when you got
You can't
kids.
put, no, you can't. And you can't see your children can't see you fight your sister and think that that's the way that you're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
function.
Or anybody in your family.
No,
A lot of times,
no,
kids, they see all that dysfunction and they start to participate in it.
exactly.
and
Exactly.
they lose respect for the other people that you're not showing respect for in front of them.
Exactly. But I just thought that was such like a strong point because as women, as single mothers, a lot of us, like you said, we do work so hard, or we put, that focus on working so hard that we sometimes neglect other more important areas of what it is that we should be instilling in our children and what we should be teaching them.
Yeah, I think also our generation of women, we take on a lot more responsibility too, because because of the dynamics of the family structure, even in the Black community, is so uh, it's so messed up. A lot of times we may not have the support that we need to parent, and so we're gonna talk about that too
Yeah.
another time.
Well, no, that
But
actually that was a point for
oh, did you
tonight.
did
Yeah.
you have it? Basically, we don't have the support, and so sometimes, it's just hard to try to balance everything and still be everything that you're supposed to be to your child
Yeah.
or to your children.
And at the end of the day, I mean, you can't. I remember my sister used to tell my mama, "You just work too much." That always stuck with me because my mother had it was six of us, so she felt like she had to work that much. But a lot of the time, like my sister, I mean, we understood that, but my sister, she felt like that was, she didn't spend enough time because she was always working, and it wasn't like she was out partying or clubbing or whatever. It was just she was missing a certain part of her was missing, I guess, in my sister's life, and every child is going to have the different perception on their childhood and how they feel about it. So my mother took that kind of hard, and I hated that she took that so hard because I understood her sacrifice, but my sister just wanted her there. She probably didn't care about, that,
Right. And that a lot of times kids don't care.
yeah,
They don't know what you do when you're not around them. They
no,
don't really care about what's going on at your job.
or what it
Uh,
takes to be able to
right.
provide.
But they notice when your job or whatever you got going on is taken away from time from them,
Exactly.
and that they're not getting what they need. So it's just one of those things that we have to be aware of.
Yeah, it's just like I say, balance.
Balance is hard.
It really is.
I still haven't achieved balance. But it is I think when I pray for order and balance. Like those are the things that I feel like I need the most to be everything that I want to be in my life and to my kids.
Yeah. No, I mean, it is. It's the key to everything. Just making sure that everything flows and that you're not overwhelmed with anything. But back to when you was talking about, it's like, doing it by yourself. Like, it really does take a village. And
It's true.
with so many of us being like single mothers, and that is the point where we have to kind of like lean on each other.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like I say with me, I don't have I don't have I lost my mother, so I don't have my mother. So a lot of the women who I lean on for that motherly advice, or just that person I need to turn to when I have a concern, I have a situation, are my friends or my sisters.
Right.
And it's important, it really does take a village, because a lot of times what you may have not have gone through, or what you may have been taught by your mother or by your parent, maybe someone else might not know. It's always like people don't always know what you know, and sometimes it could be just that one little bit of advice, the way even if it's the way you fold towels, that could be helpful, or that could change somebody's whole life, or just make their day
Yeah, I done
brighter.
learned a lot of things from my friends. Just teaching me how to have order, because I didn't grow up with a lot of structure, and so structure has always been really hard for me to really consistently provide. Just a structured atmosphere all the time. So I have gotten tips and pointers from my friends. They'd be like, "Oh, you need to have them in the bed by 9:30. You need to make sure all their clothes is laid out." Like it was simple things like that. You would think that I would know, but I really didn't. And so I learned a lot about being a parent and being a mother. Sometimes from the other people around me.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get it. I totally understand. That's what it comes to, like pulling your friend's coattails. Like, to me, if you're my friend, I should be able to tell you if I feel like you're slacking in a certain area, I see something that causes a concern for me, we should be able to, as women, do that. And that's something that I feel like when I say it's all love, it's like not coming to tear you down as another person. It's just coming to really bring awareness to, hey, like you might not realize that this isn't the right thing to do,
Yeah.
but you shouldn't be like, don't cut your kids out. I know it might be like a,
Like you
a cultural
frustrated.
thing, or
Yeah.
you frustrated, or this is what, your mama cussed you out and I'm fine. But really, like, not every child takes everything the same way other kids can take everything.
Right. And that can be very damaging
It
to the
can be
spirit
damaging.
of your child.
Exactly. Especially later on in life as they become adults and
They
can really
remember the things that you called them, that you said to them.
exactly. And it really can mess with their emotional, just their emotional well being. And the goal is to raise healthy, strong, responsible kids.
And
Loving
independent kids.
Yeah, and exactly. And loving kids, like they have love in their heart. It's so important.
That's probably the most important.
Yeah.
Because if you can train a kid up with everything, but if you don't teach, if they don't have love, if they don't get nurtured, I mean, you can create a real monster.
Definitely seen
And it's funny when you
firsthand.
talked about pulling each other's coattails, because that's exactly what I felt like in that moment my little sister was doing at that time in my life. But um, I've also had to address one of my friends before, about the way she like was disciplining her child, or the way she was talking to him or whatever. And it led to us having a big little argument. I said a big little argument. It actually was kind of a big argument, because that led to her telling me that, like I didn't discipline my kids the way she thought I should. And so we ended up having to go back and forth about that. And so, even you got to be prepared, because it's so sensitive. The way people parent is so sensitive to, most people don't want to be told how to treat their kids, or how to parent, or what to do. Like they feel like, I got this, but sometimes you really don't have this, and sometimes you really don't know what you need to know, and you really aren't doing what's best for your child. And so it has to be addressed.
Yeah, I mean, because parenting doesn't come with a manual, a handbook, so nobody has all the answers, So it's okay for us to be able to, like I say, just correct, or let somebody know when you feel like something, it doesn't sit right with you, or you feel like you could have maybe handled it in a different manner. And that's the thing, just kind of handling things with more love and with peace of mind at the end of the day. Wanting you to have very just a peaceful situation in the home, and that's so important because so many kids grow up with dysfunction and they operate in that way and think that's the way that they're supposed to interact with people, and it doesn't always have to be that. And they're like cussing. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I
I'm still a work in progress on cussing.
well,
I
and the thing
actually
is,
like cussing.
well, and nothing's wrong with cussing
But
because you're grown.
I don't feel like I cuss a lot in front of my kids.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the issue. That's when it becomes the issue, because we're adults. We can cuss. That's our right as an adult. But as children, there's just a certain thing that you don't have to include them in on everything. And there's a way to talk around kids. And I mean, just like, people talk a certain way at work, and then they have the way they talk at home. Like it's the same way. When you in front of your kids, you just have to, just switch it up. You have to. I mean, you have to, because you don't want that type of negative influence.
Oh, because you always end up hearing your kids say it.
Yeah.
They repeat after you.
I mean, and you're going to slip up, but I'm just saying, make it a habitual habit, or cussing people out in front of your kids. That's the issue.
And I think that's what I think about cussing is I don't really feel like, I struggle to see cussing as a sin. You know how some people see it as a bad thing? Mm-hmm. I mean, I just feel like I don't see the difference between me saying shoot or me saying shit if I stump my toe. But if I tell you a piece of shit, like to me, that's when cussing has taken on another meaning. Like other than that, it's usually just politically incorrect.
Right.
But I think that when it's directed at somebody and you're saying something ill or speaking ill of someone else, I think that's when it becomes like a problem. But now you should definitely not, cuss people out in front of your kids.
I mean, some people deserve to get cussed out, Some people do deserve to get cussed out. Just don't do it in front of your kids.
They do.
That's the issue. Don't do it in front of your kids.
But
don't let them think it's okay.
Your emotions is going.
Believe me, I know. anybody knows, I know. But it's just something that you want to scale back on, because at the end of the day, you are putting that negative energy out there, and that is what your children are absorbing, that negative energy. So they feel like that's the way that they should react in certain situation. And as you evolve and as you grow, you want to learn how to handle situations sometimes in a different manner, because 9 times out of 10, the people that you cussing out don't even deserve all of that energy.
Yeah.
So it's best really to sometimes take the high road. That doesn't make you weak. That doesn't make you a punk. But sometimes to take the high road for your own peace of mind, so that you don't get worked up. Because a lot of the times when you do put that energy out there, it keeps you worked up, so that the whole day you now have shifted your whole energy, and everything that you're doing now kind of has that in the forefront.
Yeah.
Whereas had you handled that differently, then you'll move differently the rest of the
And
day.
you would have more peace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And peace of mind. I'm
Because
telling you.
anytime I've ever cussed somebody out, they definitely deserved it. But later on, I definitely felt like I should have handled it differently.
Okay.
Because I think that you think I shouldn't even let somebody get me to that point.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? To have that much control over my emotions. But,
But that's
some
something we
people
have
deserve
to
be cussed out.
Yeah.
So, it just
Yeah.
happens.
It does. I already know. And and a lot of times I don't regret it. I just wish I had maybe saved it for a different time or a different setting. So
So
moving
just a different time or a different setting.
Exactly. I don't they probably deserved every word. But moving forward, that's just something that we need to be aware of, and that we
Yeah.
need to just change.
Our actions. in front of them.
Exactly. Our actions and the way that we portray ourselves in front of our children. I know one of the things that I had a conversation with a friend about was, like, I know twerking is something that, ain't nothing wrong with a good twerk in the right settings, but I seen a video of some little girls twerking on YouTube, and I'm telling you, these little girls were probably younger than 12, and it really just bothered me.
Because you like, who recorded this?
Who recorded this? Why do they feel like that this is okay to post this?
I done seen kids younger than that.
Well, there were kids
or kids or people getting their kids to say cuss words or whatever, and recording their kids doing different stuff. But I feel like twerking, to have your daughter twerking or your little kid twerking, it's like, to me, it's almost like you exploiting them when you do videos of kids twerking. And I done seen different kids dance and stuff, and I'd be like, why is they allowed to even dance like that? But they mamas be dancing like that.
Exactly.
which is and the thing about it is, like you said, it's a time and a place for twerking. I'm not much of a twerker. I haven't figured out how to twerk like that, but I do think it's a time and a place for it. But I don't never think like little girls should be like twerking on camera, and everybody just like, yeah, girl, throw, girl.
Yeah.
Like it's too much.
It shouldn't be celebrated for a child that young to be doing anything that's sexual, or that's too provocative for that age.
That's a good word for it, provocative, because it is a very provocative thing to twerk.
Exactly. And
you got a lot of predators out here.
There are.
There's a lot of men that's looking at little girls, that's finding videos and saving them to their phones and all type of stuff. You don't know what you putting, who you putting that video in the hands of.
Yeah, and that's just being being very mindful when we put these devices in our children's hands. Like I say, instead of them just being babysitters, really monitoring what they're doing on there, not just giving it to them so you can be free to do whatever it is you want to do, but really monitoring, because it's so many different. There have been horror stories of girls that have linked up with people, predators on the internet, because they just had a little bit too much freedom. And that's, I guess, the biggest thing here is just being more mindful, changing, putting our kids first in everything that we do, and knowing what they're doing, what they're thinking about. Of course, the whole bullying aspect and the story of the little boy that committed suicide, that is just heavy on my heart. Because you never know what your child is going through and what they're feeling, but also being the type of mother where your children do feel open enough to come to you and tell you what's going on and what they're dealing with. because a lot of the times, parents sometimes can be so distracted that
Mm-hmm.
they are oblivious to what their kids are going through at school.
Yeah. And I think sometimes not even parents are distracted, but sometimes they really are so wrapped up into themselves that they don't care that much. And that sounds harsh or whatever, but I had posted a video on Facebook the other day. I seen this video on World Star Hip Hop where this little girl was like going to her mother to tell her that her boyfriend was touching on her, and she was like, "That's a good man, and you shouldn't be walking around here in these little bitty shorts." And I was just like, "Wow, like this is really still happening. Like people are really responding like this when their kids is trying to tell them extremely important things." Like I wouldn't even have been able to
But
like
they
move fast enough to find him.
Right, but that goes back to the momming well and the bad mom. She's a bad mom. She might be with a man that provides for her or that gives. I remember that, like she's like cooking or something.
Yeah,
Like
she was
you, so
cleaning up, I
yeah,
think.
yeah. So like you're providing a home for this child, food for this kid, but you're a bad mom because of what you're subjecting your child to in that situation. As a mother, as parents, we're supposed to provide for our children. So if we have them in a situation, they're willingly knowing that they can be in harm's way, and we don't do something about that,
You being a bad mother.
you're being a bad mother.
Hmm.
And that's just what it is. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
there's
ain't no amount of money worth sacrificing your child. Like
not at all.
so, those are the things that we have to be, aware of when you even dealing with guys, bringing different guys around your kids.
Yeah, that's a touchy subject.
Yeah,
Yeah,
a lot of people don't want to have them conversations.
no, I
And
mean,
I mean there have been times where I have been guilty of mothering bad or being a bad mom in certain ways, due to choices.
yeah, do the choices. But when you know better, you do better. And I can say it always goes back to knowing your worth, knowing that you go, because a lot of the times the guys that you maybe had attracted before or gave your time to weren't even on your level or were not the best fit for you. But because of the mind frame that you were in at that time, that's who because ultimately who you're with is a reflection of you.
Most definitely.
So just making better choices as to the person that you're going to have around your children.
I think making sure your kids are safe. Um, that's where it really boils down to. It's not even just the behaviors that person might exhibit, but just are my kids safe in this situation? Is something really important for a lot of moms to consider when you're thinking about like who you're dating. We done seen so many of those news stories where women have left their children with different men and they beat their children or do something that really hurts them. So um, it's definitely, we have to be mindful of the people that we let be in our lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As mothers, definitely.
Yeah. Definitely the people we let be in our lives. I mean, the consequences, the effects that they can have from you. I know. I mean, but we've all dated some dudes that had sketchy
Woo!
occupations.
Sketchy occupation. Brothers got this complex occupation.
Hey, but seriously though, and
Complex.
I just think about sometimes the different situations, how things could have really gone left, and where God was with me all those times, even in
Definitely.
the midst of the mud, amidst of my mud, of the bad, poor decisions that I had made.
Exactly.
And I was a mother, but a young mother. But when you know better, you do better. You make different decisions. I would never subject my children to that now because that was a very selfish thing that I did. Maybe something that I wanted, somebody that I wanted that wasn't really for me. And could really have exposed my children to a dangerous situation.
Right.
And now that I know that, I move differently.
Yeah.
And that's just all about making better decisions because now that I think about it, did that relationship benefit me in a more positive way? Really? Not necessarily.
But I think that when you come from where we come from, just coming from even just humble beginnings or areas of poverty or whatever, a lot of times those street dudes like what's popping. That's the only thing that you've been exposed to that's like really popping. Oh, he's out here getting some money or whatever. So you think, oh, I need to hook up with somebody who got some money. You know, a lot of times we're not growing up seeing the guys we grew up with in high places, you know. Um, so it's just easy to go for what you know. And like you said, we didn't know.
Exactly. And like I said, a lot of us are mothers at a young age, so we're still learning as we go on. And although we have children, we're still making choices like we were when we were girls. I know my mom, she always said, go back to all her little sayings that she says, she was like, lady, girls are born, ladies are made. And so
Mm.
anybody can be a girl, anybody, as girls, as females, we all have the same parts. We can get pregnant, just like any other one. But it's when you decide to become a lady, decide to become a woman, is when you start making smarter decisions in your life and realizing what is necessary, what isn't necessary, what's important, and when and where there's a time and place for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And some things that we want to do just has to take the back seat in precedence to what's most beneficial and more important for our kids.
Mm-hmm. It definitely has to take a backseat to what's most important, because at the end of the day, they only have us to guide and mold them. So you got to make sacrifices,
Yes.
and that, I think that is the hardest part. Is, I mean, just giving up your freedoms, giving up
But you don't
certain
necessarily have to. It's all balance, though. I mean, because
balance.
I
Yeah,
still can do a lot of the things I wanted to do. I mean, I don't really have no desire to like go out club, but I probably still could, but it's all about balance. I
right.
can't do that 3, 4 times a night like I used to when
Just,
I was in her
I don't even
school.
got the energy for
But
that anyway.
exactly, I don't even want the energy for that. I don't even like. It's more now of like a planned situation. It's like an
Right, and I
event,
struggle to get to the things that I plan.
right?
So,
But it's like it's all about balance and just switching things up, putting things in their perspective place, and showing up as your highest self, making positive choices that are going to add to you
mm-hmm.
instead of, like, is this going to add to me being my highest self if I go to this party, if I make this, ain't nothing wrong with a good time, but
And a good twerk while you there.
right, exactly. But it's all about a time and place for thing and putting stuff in its proper place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think another thing that I notice is kids just growing up in negative environments, like negative environments where maybe their mother is just mean
Yeah.
and upset or whatever because of maybe choices she's made, stresses that she has, or the things that maybe the father isn't doing. And a lot of women take different things out on their kids. You know, people take out their stress on whoever's closest to them. And so, um,
A lot of times the kids,
yeah.
a lot of times the kids get the brunt of the beating from whatever it is that the mother or the parent has going on in their life that they're stressed about. And I that's why they have the saying, the mad black woman,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the times I know that's one thing I've noticed in this kind of awakening that
Mm-hmm.
I'm going through, is, the expressions, of a lot of black women, that just how, just on a regular basis, like even in the mornings, that was topic I wanted to talk about too. Like even the way that we talk to our kids. I know my mother used to wake us up with like a warm rag on our face to cartoons, or she'd be singing something like she would wake us up in a positive situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that really set the tone for the day that
But
we
how
had.
it's so funny that you say that, because I was just talking to my best friend about that, and she was telling me how when she has a bad morning with her kids, that she will either call them while they're on the bus and put both of them on speakerphone so she can talk to them, or she would call them at school and or do the little dojo app or whatever, and have the teacher have them call her, and she would like talk to them and let them know, you know, that I apologize for the way the morning went, you know, because she wants to make sure that the way the morning started off doesn't trickle into the rest of their day. And that's so important.
Yeah, it is. It's just being mindful of those things and just starting your kids. I know, like, even when I go to take my baby to daycare in the mornings, I mean, some of the mothers, like, I've made it a point just because I've recognized it to just start saying, like, good morning. Like, there's nothing wrong with smiling and saying good morning to somebody. And that can really have like a triple effect, or an effect on them to where maybe it just puts a smile on their face.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Or just they feel like they need to smile back at you. But I'm definitely going to be that positive person in the morning because it's just like everybody's walking in and out of the same door with the same disgruntled, mad look on their face
Mm-hmm.
because of whatever it is. Everybody
But
has
I think it's just that responsibility of having
yeah.
to get up, get somebody else
Yeah.
ready, make sure y'all get to wherever you got to take them so you can get to wherever you got to be on time. And that gets stressful in the mornings. But I mean, sometimes people just talk real bad to their kids
Oh
all morning.
gosh.
Well, get up, come on. And it might be because they woke them up too late.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they're not prepared. They don't have anything ready and they're rushing. And so they will treat their kids any kind of way in the morning. And you just can't do it.
No, you can't. Because at the end of the day, you have a responsibility as a mother. So you're going to have to do these things anyway. Why not do it in a more loving manner versus cussing them out the whole time or telling them what they ain't doing or making it a very bad negative situation in the morning? Like, when you really change your mindset over and want peace in your life, then you handle situations differently than you used to handle them in more ways than one. And I know another point when it comes to like the bad mom being as I know me, I've had to work on acting out of impulse and recognizing that every action from others doesn't deserve a reaction from me.
Right.
And that's another thing that as women, as adults, can cause us to make certain decisions that can affect us in more ways than one, especially when we have children. Like you said before, we can't operate like we did before we have children. After we had children, we can go out fighting people and doing things
right,
that are
there's more at stake. You have more responsibility.
Exactly. And if your freedom's taken away from you, then what good are you to your children?
Exactly.
So just making smarter decisions, recognizing things that, like I say, just aren't important, aren't necessary. If it's not contributing to your higher self of you being a better person, then just leave it alone. Certain things can be just swept under the rug or just, let it roll off your back. Not everything has to be addressed, especially if it's not gonna matter in 6 months, if it's not gonna matter in 6 years, or if it's not that big of if it's not gonna matter in 6 minutes, then it's not worth being addressed. And I think there's a lot of things like picking our battles. That's a distraction that we sometimes have is, feeling like we have to throw stones at every dog that barks at us. And not everybody deserves a reaction. Some people you can just keep on.
Right. Some people are not even that important.
Exactly. Now, they may be important to you. You might feel like they're important in that moment, but like I said, they won't even matter in 6 months.
Yeah.
So.
Yes, picking your battles. Definitely.
But I feel like with this, a lot, I know for me, we recognize these things. We're aware of these things. We see things like this go on a daily basis. We interact with women. We look at our own situations, and we just have to find healthy ways to be able to cope with what we're going on. And I feel like that's how you create balance in your life. A healthy balance.
Yeah.
Is, doing things that cause you to maybe have more peace or that cause you to be able to be more chill or to be able to release in a more healthy aspect.
Yeah, more
positive
self-care.
Exactly.
Because it's self-care because you can get up a few minutes earlier in the morning and get you some time to yourself. And also you'll be up early enough to wake your kids up in time where you ain't got to be hollering and acting all crazy in the morning and creating a whole negative vibe as they go into their day. So just finding little ways to take care of yourself is important as a mother.
I mean, I've even had there's certain people that I've had to even stop having like conversations with or giving so much time to in my life Not saying I don't love them any less, but I've had to stop entertaining certain conversations that really weren't even,
because
they were
distractions.
distractions. They
Yeah.
weren't, they weren't beneficial to me being what way was that conversation gonna really benefit me in a more
Hmm.
positive way?
Yeah.
So I've kind of had to back off on those situations because it's just wasted time, and wasted time is so important because you never get that back. So just taking that time to do more healthy things like journaling,
Hmm.
especially with this, I've been journaling a lot more, getting my thoughts out of my head, putting it on paper so I can always kind of reflect back and, use that as something maybe, I can share on here or with someone else.
And counting your gratitudes. I think sometimes we so bogged down by our responsibilities that we have an attitude of, I have to do this and I have to do that. And really, we need to be like feeling blessed that I get to go to work. I get to raise these kids. I get to be their
Exactly.
mom. I get to have, it's people that want kids that can't have them. You know what I mean? So it's a privilege to be a mother.
It is a
Um,
privilege. And to have healthy kids is a privilege. Being blessed with healthy kids, that is
hmm
definitely, and we take a lot of things for granted just because we've we've never had to see the other side, but it's definitely a blessing to have kids and to show them how important that they are and to make your children feel so special.
and spend time with them.
It is, and get to know them. I remember it was on another episode. Ayana, one of the girls. The issue was the girl had 6 kids and kept sending them to her mother to raise. And the
hmm
mother kept saying it too. She was like, yeah, I got her kids. I got her kids. And Ayana was like, no, like you're raising human beings. You don't just have her kids and you're
hmm
just, like I say, mothering them, making sure they have what they need. Like you are raising human beings. And it's so true. Like what you instill in your kids are who they come out to be. They're a direct
hmm
reflection of you. You have the most influence in their life. And it's just so important to really own in on what's important. Like at the end of the day, what's important, what matters is what matters. All that matters is what
hmm
matters. And
I think
you,
you have to figure out what does matter, because
yeah,
some people, we spend so much time fighting things that don't matter,
exactly.
distracting ourselves with stupid stuff, and really at the end of the day, nobody's gonna care where you work. Nobody's gonna care where I work. Like when I die, they're gonna be like, "What type of mother?" It's gonna be, "What did my kids say about me? What did my friends say about me?" It's not gonna be. It's gonna be about those relationships that we have in our lives, and so
Yeah, I mean, my
our
mother, she's
lives.
been gone 3 years, and I mean, I still, I still lean on every word she said to me. So,
Hmm.
I mean, her life definitely was not in vain, because she left a legacy, and she's left stuff that I could pass on to my kids and to other people that I meet, that I just feel like is valuable information
Hmm.
that not everybody gets, in their life. So, it's just all about teaching and doing it all out of love, but I'm
But holding ourselves accountable for those things that we haven't done, need to do. Just making our kids the top priority.
yeah, you have to recognize that. That's it. Like be aware of what it is and work on it every
Yeah.
day moving forward. Like it's never too late to change and to say I don't want to be that way no more. I don't want to do that no more. And it's never too late to tell somebody I won't allow that in my life no more. I won't
Right.
allow you to treat me like that. I won't allow you to bring that around. I won't allow you to bring that in my house around
Right.
my
You
kids
can't you
anymore.
can't sell drugs here. You can't.
Exactly. You can't leave your drugs here no more. You can't
Yeah.
hide them. You can't put myself and my children at risk anymore. Like when you know better, you do better. And that's when you have to make that choice to change
Hmm.
and live your life in a more positive way.
And it's just really increasing your awareness of toxic stuff. Toxic things that are just not beneficial for a family, and in your motherhood.
Exactly. But just like I said, showing up as your highest self, not making you the person, making you the person who you want to be. If that's not
Hmm.
a part of what you want is who you are or what you have in your life, then get rid of it.
Right. And if you're missing your old self, and I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I miss my old self. I miss sometimes because motherhood kind of takes parts of you, and maybe it adds to you really, but sometimes it feels like it takes different parts of you because you can't really do the things that you might have wanted to do before. I guess you can, but yeah, I guess if you me, I got issues with trusting people with my kids. So it's really hard for me to go out and do things to have fun because in my mind, I'm like, what if something happens to my kids while I'm out doing some unnecessary shit? So
Exactly.
it's hard for me to just like leave my kids to go do stuff um, that is not super important. But I also realize I rob myself a lot of a lot of adult time just with fears. So
Yeah. And nothing's wrong with letting your hair down sometimes, but what it boils back to is balance. And you wouldn't feel that guilt. You won't, I don't think you would feel guilty if everything was balanced. It's not like you would be trying to go
right,
out every night or every weekend.
yeah,
It's just, you just realizing what's important,
mm-hmm.
and how much precedence it takes of your life. Ain't nothing wrong with going out a couple times a week, even if you're a mom. But what are you doing in that other time that you have with your kids? What are you really, doing with them? And if you're going out when they're asleep, then hey, as long
Mm-hmm.
as they safe, why not?
Right, and just all things done in modesty.
Exactly. In modesty and moderation. So
Mm-hmm.
true.
Yep.
It really is. But I'm I know it's a whole lot that we can discuss when it comes to that. Just
I mean, it's could probably be like a 4-part series about just different things that could be tackled in some of the things that we've already said because I mean there's just so many layers to being a mother and it's such a huge responsibility. Uh, the fact that I have kids, it never escapes me. You know what I mean?
it never does. And I think that's what people, like I say, maybe don't take as seriously this generation of being a parent. What that means, it's not just having a cute little baby. It's that your life is forever changed, and every decision
Forever.
that you make moving forward, you have to put your child in, or as a parent, your responsibility is to put the child as the forefront when you're making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't even realize the decisions that you're going to have to make, or things you're gonna have to do differently now that you're a parent, because it does reshape your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
that's
it
a
has
beautiful
to though. It
thing.
has to
It
because you're shaping someone else's life. So you have to start to make sure that you have the tools so you can pass them down. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And part of having the tools is gaining a sense of self-awareness about
Yeah.
certain things that should not be happening. Like you said, parenting, it doesn't come with a manual.
It
There's
doesn't.
nothing that tells you, hey, as a mother, your kids need to go to bed at this time, and you need to make sure you wake up at that time. You need to like. There's nothing that really gives you that, and all we have to go on is really how we've been raised and the things that we've been taught by people around us.
Yeah.
Um,
But there's so many other outlets too. Like even with social media, like I say, everything in moderation. And like it's so many different ways though, even with social media, that you can research things that you don't know, with the self-love and the self-care, like just researching articles that can help you, or different
mhm.
other podcasts, or um just whatever, YouTube. Like there's just different things, books that you can read to help enrich your life, or to help you learn things, even if it's just one thing you pull from the
Mhm.
from the book that you didn't realize that you were going to learn. And I realized when I read the Mashana's book, which you're going to get into that on another episode
Definitely.
on her book. But the first couple chapters of her book just really talk a lot about like ourselves as a person. And she talked about the ego a lot, and that was the
Mhm.
biggest thing, like as
Mhm.
as a woman, being okay to let that ego down and be like, I don't know everything, or I can learn from you, or you was right, I was wrong in this
Right.
situation.
That's what I had to come through with my sister because initially I was making a lot of excuses for like what she said. How she gonna say it to me? She ain't got no kids right now. She just saying this or she just saying that. And I just felt, I mean, I probably talked to like 5 people that day because I was mad about what she had said to me. But I had to sit back with that and think about why did she say that to me? And that's the first thing. One of the things that I say when people say stuff about me or to me that I don't like, the first thing I evaluate is it true? You know what I mean? And when I realized that there was some truth to some things that she was saying, that I had been neglectful in certain ways because I was just trying to make sure ends got met, you know, um that I had to, change some things about the way I was doing things, and realizing that I was in complete control of my schedule. And so I can change things, that I don't have to work this much or do this much. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or
And
even if it's just 1 or 2 nights that you decide I'm not gonna work as late. Like that is also making an adjustment for the
right.
sake
So
of
you
your
can make
children.
small changes
Small
to
changes. It doesn't have to be a whole dramatic life change,
mm-hmm.
but you can make small changes that really help shape and change things in your life and maybe just give you even a better flow,
Mm-hmm.
or even just a little bit more peace of mind or at ease
Mm-hmm.
with yourself. Like, oh, I get to get off early today and I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this with the kids, or I'm gonna cook with the girls. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's an amazing thing to be able to be like, me and my kids, me and my mommy cook together.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know when the weather's nice, me and Peyton, we like to go play tennis. I mean, it doesn't cost anything for us to go across the street and play tennis, but I know that he will always remember that. Me and my mama play tennis together, and it's
Yeah.
just taking that time out for what's important.
And I think I struggle with that time, even with my oldest, because I have these two little people and they're such a drastic age apart. You know what I mean? And trying to, it's almost like I got to find a babysitter for them so that I could spend time with him. And so, and it wasn't until one of my friends had asked me, like, when's the last time y'all did anything? I'm like, like I don't even, you know what I mean? Because it's just being me trying to take care of the little ones.
And it doesn't
And
even have to be anything like y'all going anywhere. It could be like you set the girls down for a nap or put a movie on for them, and then you and him go in there and talk.
yeah, and we did the other night, and I was happy that we got to have like good conversation about things that he'd been going through and things that I expected of him, and it was all good.
Well,
So
yeah, because as kids get older, whether they boys or they girls, especially I feel like because we both have older sons, the way you relate to them or the relationship that you all had when they were smaller, it's different when they become teenagers, and so you have to maneuver differently, to be able to bond with them and connect with them. Because it's not like it is when they were little. They just want to run up and hug you and give you all the love all the time. Like it's different
yeah,
when
he
they get
don't even be
older.
worried about me half the time,
I
but
know.
I also feel like he, I need to reach to him.
Yes.
Like I have to make him know that I'm still here and that I still love you and I still think of you and I still want the best for you.
Yeah, and the best
Um,
relationship with him. Like I have to, I'm not really interested in chess, but Peyton loves chess. So I'm
I
like,
love chess too.
if teach me how to play chess. I mean, you have to like get on their level or do what interests them, whether it's playing a
Hmm.
video game or whatever it
And that's with
is.
any relationship building, is
Yeah,
you have to consider the likes and wants and stuff of the other person.
yeah, it's compromise.
Hmm.
It really is, and we have to realize we do have to compromise with our children sometimes. Like it's not
Hmm.
always as we say, do as we say.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have
It's just
to.
not always about
It's
us.
not.
And that's the whole premise of it, is that you can't be who you were after you have kids. Before you can't be who you were before you had kids after you have kids. It's just not just you anymore.
Yeah, it's definitely making your mind over, and it's so many other avenues, that topic goes into, and I know we're going to talk about that too when we discuss Shonda's book.
Yeah.
I'm referring to
Blend.
Blend, which
Uh
is a good book about being a parent, co-parenting, and so that kind of gets into a whole different other
yeah.
lane when it
Definitely gonna
comes to
discuss
being a
that.
parent. But
Hmm.
that book is such a good tool
Good
to
reference.
use.
Yeah.
And I feel like we have to, as adults, take the time out to find tools that's
To
going to
be
help us to be better.
resourceful. Yeah,
Exactly.
be
Be better
resourceful.
people.
And so thank you everybody for listening in.
Yes. Please give us feedback. And if you have any thoughts, comments, questions, concerns, you can.
Email us at thetittypowwow@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at
At,
the Titty Powwow.
and we will check y'all out next time.
Thank you.
It's going down. It's going down. It's going down on the Titty Powwow. It's going down. It's going down. It's going down on the Tiddy powwow. It's going down. It's going. It's going down. It's going. It's going down on the Tiddy powwow.